Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Happy to see so many of you here. I think what a wonderful Congress this has been so far. I think it's only the, so to say, first official day and second day in practice ongoing, and I think there are already so many fascinating talks today there. Let's use the next 15 minutes to discuss how do we actually deal with the quantum future already today, and have a little bit more detailed look at what do we mean with that one. Bluefors is actually quite exactly 17 years old company. We have been founded in 2008, and since then I think we have been working strongly whatever comes to the quantum development, and our roots are in the research, and that practically means that it's been the optimal spot to start the quantum development and supporting that one. We actually say that when you think about quantum, you think about Bluefors, and there is one obvious reason that quite often when there is a picture of quantum computer, there's actually a picture of the chandelier, which is produced by Bluefors, and then the quantum computer is the small chip underneath, right? And I think that's how we are moving forward there. Company-wise, 250 million USD, roughly the revenue at the moment, 700 people, 1/3 of those people are actually here in US, so we start to be relatively big here in the local market, which is by far the biggest quantum market globally speaking, so that's there. But let's not talk too much about the company today. I think let's really talk about the findings, the essentials to move forward. So when we think about the keys to the quantum future, I think we can list a few of those. Certainly reliability is the one big factor for that. Time to value, I think that's critical in any business, but in particular where the quantum industry is coming from, I think the time to value is coming more and more important, that everyone needs to be able to improve that one. Ease of use, supposed to be sort of a self-evident, but it's not or has not necessarily been. That's a critical factor. And then of course upgradability. But I think let's take a little bit more in-depth look into this, that what do we mean with this? So we are mainly working and supporting with our cryogenic measurement systems, the superconducting and spin cubes, but other modalities there as well. And when we think about the reliability, so it's not only about reliability for keeping a quantum computer operational, having the service level agreements in place, having 4 or 5 nines there that, hey, how much, or what is the uptime for a system to keep it up and running, but it's similarly even more important to support both the development work as well as the testing work. If you think about the quantum industry today, so you need to continuously keep developing something new. The development work is under time pressure as well, so the systems have to be reliable. You have to be able to complete your developments on the time. Similarly for the research systems. I think for testing any components in the cryogenic temperatures, it needs to be predictable. You are running your kind of daily or weekly testing cycles, how to characterize the components. It just has to work, otherwise you will kind of fail to deliver the actual quantum computer. Time to value. I think quite often many of the industries are just talking about the so to say logistics lead time, that hey, what's your lead time, when you can send the new cryos, that new component of X to me. And yes, okay, you know that this Friday it will leave from my factory, and then yes, it will take like 1 week or 2 weeks to ship over the pond, and then it will be landing here. But I think that's not the essence of the business. So it's really about the time to value. It's not to ship the system somewhere, but you have to install those, take into use, validate, and make sure that they are cooled down, and only that's when you can do the business. And when we start to think truly about the time to value, I think then Bluefors is really ahead of anybody else there, so that we have our local installation capabilities, support capabilities, service capabilities at hand in any part of the globe. And our intention is to shorten that from months to weeks, and of course even further moving forward. So when the quantum data centers are there, you might need to kind of rapidly be capable of upgrading your capacity in the quantum data center, so then they need to be available in days. Ease of use, of course, any high-tech system should be easy to use, right? That should be kind of a no-brainer. But I think it's not only how convenient it is to use, how many clicks you potentially have to do on a user interface, but it really gets back to the education level of the people who need to operate it as well. Cryogenics has been long thought that, hey, only physicists can operate those, but that's not the case anymore. So it's purely possible that you are, so to say, standard engineer, bachelor level, master level education, cryogenics can be well operated with that sort of education, as well as maintained and serviced. So that's the key. Yes, developing those systems, that can be still complicated, but I think we'll take care of that part. We have excellent team of the highly skilled world-class physicists doing it, but then yes, the operations maintenance needs to be possible for everyone, globally speaking, in order to keep the quantum to scale. Otherwise, we will run out of the capable physicists doing it. And then I think last but not least at all, there is the upgradability. What do we mean with that? If you think about the number of qubit development over the time, so it's basically 2 to 3 generations a year many of the quantum computer developer companies are doing. So you might have, saying anything, 60 qubits today, 80 qubits in 6 months' time, and then you take it to the 100 qubits in 12 months from now. If you would every time need to fully change your system, I think then that's not kind of doable from the business perspective anymore, but you have to be capable of upgrading your cryostats continuously to match the kind of needs of the next generation of the quantum computing. And it's not only about the number of qubits, but of course, everyone who is developing the superconducting or spin qubits, they want to bring more and more control electronics inside the cryostat as well. So you need to keep developing the cooling powers on different temperature levels there to move forward. So these are the key factors, four of them that we think that are there to make the quantum to scale. Today, we have already 2 years back delivered several of these systems that are capable of housing 1,000 qubits. And basically, this is exactly why we can say that we are delivering quantum future today already. Then no one has been developing a 1,000 qubit computer yet, but the cryogenics and measurement infrastructure needs to be there prior actually anybody can do it. We have developed now the infrastructure for it, and yet our customers are working hard to achieve this 1,000 qubit milestone with the superconducting or spin qubit systems. And I think that's very, very important that the evolution goes exactly this way, that the cryogenics, the measurement infrastructure is developing first, and then yes, the number of qubits will follow. This is the essence. But it's not only about these 4 factors that there are. So if you think about the systems a little bit more in concrete, what they need to be able to do, so they have to be truly scalable, they have to be modular, and they have to be actually customizable as well, as per the customer needs. Scalability, I think that's the essence of the quantum computing. Of course, we have been just listening to the Dirac speech talking about millions of qubits and even tens of millions of qubits. I think that's exactly the way to go forward. And therefore, you have to make sure that your systems, the infrastructure is fully scalable, what you need to have there. What we see at the moment a lot is that the systems need to be modular as well. So you have part of the scalability is that you can connect several systems in the vacuum and in the cooling space together, and then in that way scale the systems. And you have to be capable of doing it into many directions. Basically, we have been mainly talking about the, so to say, horizontal scalability, that you kind of expand your cryogenic space horizontally, but yes, there are other dimensions that you can do it as well. And we see that the quantum industry is very much at the stage at the moment that when the scaling is happening, the customer requirements are varying quite a lot. And therefore, yes, all the systems have to be customizable as well. And yes, we are supporting that strongly, so that whether it's about the cooling power, whether it's about the size of the system, or whether it's about, as an example, of the measurement infra, i.e. practically speaking, wiring. So yes, all that needs to be highly customized in order to achieve the best performance for the quantum computers. And I think these are really critical factors to make the scaling happening and to keep delivering the quantum future. Of course, I think it's not only talking that, hey, this is what we are doing. I think we have the proof points there as well. So IBM, one of our long-term customers, I think they are using our QWC system, which is sort of a room-size system, not exactly this room, a little bit bigger, smaller room than this one, but basically 3 meters by 3 meters and or more than 3 meters high system. And yes, they are operating the most advanced quantum computers at the moment in such environment. But then when we think about the kind of other perspectives as well, that what does it really take to deliver the quantum future? So it's not only about the concrete systems, the specifications, the microwatts, milliwatts, millikelvins, and all that, but I think there's a whole real industry around there which has to be designed for the excellence. I think there are plenty of discussions ongoing about the supply chain, about the localization of the supply chain. I think that goes quite a bit towards the geopolitics. Let's not discuss that today too much, but I think the supply chain from the perspective of how we can make that one scalable and make sure that that will meet the demands of every single customer as well is out of essence. I have been in the industry now roughly 3.5 years, and at the time when I was starting, I think it was still in many cases that many of the components or sort of subsets of the system, they were purely single source. Our procurement team has been working really hard to develop more suppliers for each and every component and making sure that those components are manufactured in a scalable way as well. Practically speaking, we have now at least dual source for everything what we keep doing, if not even more potential suppliers for the components and items to the cryostats. So I think that's one critical factor. Another one is that there are plenty of local requirements, local regulations that you have to be able to meet in order to have the scalable supply chain. That's very much hard work that you have to be able to, of course, know and understand the local requirements, but you have to be able to validate those for your system as well. And I think it's really taking serious amount of effort. And similarly, I think there are so many standards, globally speaking, whether it's the quality standards that you have to be able to follow, or safety standards, environmental standards, and I think all that needs to be on place in order to have proper, excellent, scalable supply chain on place. I think quite often when there are some talks about the quantum computing and how to build it further and all that, there are some pictures of the labs, and I think many might have the impression still that, hey, there is no places where actually these cryostats are produced like in a real factory, but that's not the case. They are not garage stuff anymore. We are having actually 2 factories globally. The bigger one is in Finland, in Helsinki, where our headquarters is. The second one is here in US, in the state of New York, upstate New York, in a place called Syracuse. And in both places, we can do the cryostats as well. This is a picture from our Helsinki factory. It's not exactly, you could say, on a clean room level, but quite close to that one. Very high-tech, very clean place. And yes, we can do those more on a line production way of doing already. So that basically there is already today the capability to ship more than one system a day out. We can easily double the capacity in the same factory so that, yes, you can get kind of 2 systems a day, and whenever it's needed, we can scale the factory forward from there to really meet the future scalability requirements. And like discussed already briefly, our intention is to move the delivery time, the lead times, time to value, as we discussed, from the currently several months, potentially 4 to 6 months, so that we can measure that more on weeks than on the months. So this all has to be there on place in order to be capable of constantly deliver the quantum future on a daily basis. So let's conclude a bit that what we have discussed. I think cryogenics, for sure, that is not the challenge. Quite often there is still the myths that you keep hearing that, hey, it's not reliable, it's very complicated to use, you need to be at least a physicist in order to keep operating that. But like we discussed, that's not the case anymore today. So yes, they are reliable, they are scalable, they can be modular, they are easy to use, and yes, they are upgradable as well in order to service the quantum industry, the quantum ecosystem, from the research to the testing to the actual productive quantum computers. And with that one, I would like to conclude that is the future is delivered today. Thank you.